jinxed himself last night by telling me he was going to be on a 3-hour solo, because then our internet went down and now he's only going to get an hour and 45 minutes. But anyway, we are still with the little chief, and the monkeys had stopped calling for a very long time, and now they have started shouting once again. But he's done absolutely nothing since you were last with us. He's lying very, very flat in this very small little thicket over here. There's really not much in the way of cover, so to speak, but he has managed to just melt himself in there. I think he's enjoying the coolness of the morning. It's definitely the coolest morning since I've been back. We've had some sweltering hot temperatures, and a huge system was developing over the last couple of days. We didn't get any rain yesterday, but it has pulled in this very nice overcast morning. You can hear the monkeys again. We are predicting quite heavy rain today and tomorrow in the area. We've been doing all sorts of fortifications around camp, because when the floods come, they are quite brief, but they can be quite sort of overwhelming. So all of the preparation is being done. We've been prepping the garages where the vehicles are parked, because when it does come down, it comes down in bucket loads. Well, for now, Hosana is enjoying the coolness without any moisture. But how is everybody doing this morning out there? I do apologize. It seems as if I'm having some audio disturbance. I'm not quite sure why. But I wonder how everyone out there is doing this morning. I seem to have fixed it. I do a bit of a dance in my seat. I think that's my problem. It's always the dancing. Hey, Jandre. Jandre likes to dance as well. You can see the vehicle moving there. Oh, the little chief, I think, has been dancing all night because he looks absolutely knackered. He's having a proper sleep here. Hopefully he'll get up and do something. On our way back last night, I was out with Lauren and Pat. We found a small baby impala that had an injury on its chest, just behind its front right leg. Almost like a branch or something. It cut open its chest area. It looked quite bad. That's the kind of individual that an animal like Hosana would definitely try and pick out and try and selectively remove from the herd, because when there is an injury, any weakness, that is what predators normally go for, either old, infirm, or injured, or young. And that was a young, injured animal, still walking okay, but it was very irritated, licking under its shoulder here for some time. This very long, dark wound. I'm not sure what could have happened. Possibly cut while running away or escaping, jumping over one of the many branches that we have out here. The bush has gotten much thicker, so it's quite tricky to see where one is moving. Even Craig was commenting this morning as we were going to the car, just a little bit of a grass patch right next to the cars that's grown, and he's like, wow, a hippo could be hiding in there. And well, we hope not. It's not a huge amount of grass, but that is how it is changing. It's such a short period of time. The cover is back, and the resilience of the savanna ecosystem, which once again marvels the mind to see how it goes from complete, seemingly devastation to this abundance once again. And even the watering holes are looking very, very nice. Just went away for 8 days and it all changed. It's amazing how quickly it can change. All that stored nutrients in the soil. And dung beetles hard at work. Insects are absolutely everywhere at the moment. And we've got all of the birds around, calling non-stop. Right now it's very quiet for some reason this morning, but the last couple of days the cuckoos have been going crazy. You might have just heard a black-headed oriole. He's just in the tree up here. He's a very nice insect-eating bird. We also feed on nectar and pollen. Yeah, he's in a brown ivory. They're also seemingly fruit frugivores, and the brown ivory that's just up here has got some there we go. There is a greater blue-eared starling. See that very black sort of ear covert behind the eye? You can probably hear the oriole there in the background. I don't see any fruits in this tree, but no doubt there are many, many caterpillars and insects within there, feeding on the leaves, spawning, laying eggs, whatever it is they might be doing. Starlings aren't really well renowned for jumping in and around branches and picking off insects, but if there are some very obvious sort of grubs or caterpillars moving around, they will gladly grab them. I think this one might have just woken up not so long ago. You can hear it calling. There we go, off it goes, into the tree. I mean, in a tree like that, there could be so many different insect species. First of all, some of them are there to benefit the tree. AB, it is a very pretty bird, the starlings, and in the right light, they've got such a beautiful iridescence in their feathers. The iridescence is basically defined or created by carotenoids in the feathers, which is with melanin and carotenoid, which is sort of not a pigment, but sort of a reflecting agent, which allows the bird to sort of insulate themselves against temperatures, heat, and, well, in the right light, they can be very, very spectacularly blue. In bad light, they just look quite dark and quite black. And that is from the melanin. And the melanin you find in most birds' feathers. It's there as a strengthening agent, keeps the feathers very nice and strong. When feathers are very white, they easily decay in the sunshine and are needing to be replaced much more often. So darker feathers do serve birds much, much longer. But it's marvelous that we can sit here and talk about birds and trees while we are sitting in a leopard sighting. And, well, that is how it is sometimes. You'd think, with the temperatures being nice and cool, that the little chief would decide to get up and go and move around, but his belly does look a little bit like he's had something in there. I mean, he's panting a bit more than you'd expect for the temperature. Lots of people are worried about him, Kirst. I'm not sure why. Did I miss something yesterday? Did something happen to the little chief, Jean-Andre, that you know about? I'm not quite sure what's happened in the last few days that I haven't been aware of. Okay, so apparently he's got a deep wound on his leg, on the thigh. Tristan seems to think it's okay, though. When we saw him just now, he moved from the thicket over here. He slunk across the grass here because the monkeys were shouting at him, and he lay down. He was walking perfectly normally. He looked very comfortable. He wasn't licking it or irritated by it in any way. So Tristan seems to think it might have been a warthog. Well, that is definitely upgrading to a bigger leopard indeed if he is trying to go for warthogs, because, well, warthogs are a special breed of prey animal. You really need to know what you're doing to catch them because, well, they fight back. And those tusks that they have, not just the top ones, but the bottom in size is also extremely dangerous. And, well, if he's still walking around and he's not bleeding out, then there's a very good chance he's going to heal. Leopards and lions have got, and hyena, of course, have got an unbelievable healing ability in their skin, in their fur, wherever they have a wound. I mean, I saw one of the Nkuhuma females last night, that one that last year had that enormous rugby ball-sized wound on her back hip. And I know it opened up again, but I saw it yesterday, and it looks perfectly fine. I mean, if the hole's about this big now, tightened all the skin together, she's looking okay. So it's incredible how these animals are able to heal themselves. Obviously, lions have the benefit of having other animals that will hunt for them. Little chief like this, or if he does get injured, well, there is potential for him to not be able to climb a tree or to be able to hunt. But we saw him walking just now. He had no issue walking. So I didn't even notice an injury on him, to be honest. But we'll have a look and we'll see what happens. But that baby impala, that lamb that was in the open clearing, well, that would be a nice little snack for the little chief. I was actually chatting with Lauren about it because she was reminiscing with me about her first game drive. And that was with Hassan, with the first impala lamb of the season. And, well, he indignantly refused to kill it. and kept playing with it, and every time she thought it was dead, it would make a sound. And it's very sad to witness, very sad to experience that, but it is nature. It is part and parcel of what goes on out here. I don't think the leopard is meaning to be cruel. It's just kind of what happens. Hello, boy. Are you going to come and say good morning to everybody? They've been wanting to say hello, and you have just been snuck and hiding in the smallest thickets available. Well, you know, we're close to Voyatella Pad. He does love this area. There's not too many animals in the vicinity. They might be up on the open clearing waiting to come down. But in the meantime, while we wait, let's go and catch up with Pat.
Well, we are still looking for these alleys. I did hover around down south to see if maybe they were at one of the watering holes drinking, because there is nothing better than seeing elephants drinking. That's my favourite way to see them, but they weren't there, so we'll come back up to this way and hopefully find them in amongst the foliage, thrashing about as they do. Well, not really thrashing, definitely breaking and snapping, being the ecosystem engineers that they are. Now, an ecosystem engineer, for anyone who is not familiar with the term, it's just an animal that kind of shapes the habitat for other animals. And obviously with their big size, that is exactly what elephants do. Well, it's not an elephant, but it's something grey. Here on the left we have a grey go-away bird sitting in the bushes, which is a bird we see a lot, but rarely hear. There it is. Now this is one of the calls that I can imitate pretty well. The grey go-away bird, of course being related to the terracos, which I think are beautiful birds. We've got, thank you FC for my 9 out of 10. So I'll just look up here in my book, the Ross's terracos, to give you guys a look, because it is a beautiful bird. I actually saw one with James in the Mara, and it was an exceptional sighting. So we can look here, that beautiful red crest there on the top, the blue body and the yellow beak. Seeing this thing in flight, it also has quite a colourful underwing as well. So when you see it in flight, it really is something absolutely magical. So James and I were very blessed to see that in the Mara. And it looks like the grey go-away bird has done what it does best and gone away. So shall I? So back to the larger grey animals. There's a very strong smell of elephant dung here, so I shall keep chasing it up. But in the meantime, I'm going to send you back up to the Mara with Isaac, my first link to him. Hi, Isaac.
Are the warthogs that they're after?
Here we've come across the Olololo Pride. All of them are in hunting mode. You see, yesterday we saw them back there, thin, scrawny, looking for something. We just came across them. They are on hunting mode. Few of them have gone into the bushes. We don't know what they're after. Maybe there is warthog, maybe there's zebra. We're just gonna wait and see. They might disappear on us, but I'm gonna try and go around once they disappear and find out exactly what's happening. There was a female that actually had outflanked to the right, and she went into the bushes. But these guys were all seated, and all of a sudden, when she saw her demeanor change, they followed suit and went into the bushes. I don't know what they're hunting. We didn't see it. This area is full of warthogs, sometimes waterbuck, zebra, and even giraffe. So I don't know exactly what they're going for. We're just gonna sit here. Please join me and wait here, and let's see what's gonna happen. Very, very hungry. You know, at this time, if a lion has gotten something, it will be resting. These guys haven't eaten for about 9 days now. This is the day, and they have to eat today for them to keep them surviving. This area is full of game, and I'm hoping they're gonna get something. Birds sound like I'm bloodthirsty, and I love blood, but these guys, if they don't eat, then they die, and we won't have lions, and the Mara won't be the Mara without lions. See them? All of them, very hungry. This is a tree full of Croton de Jogamas trees, balanites, which are the Asparus abyssinica, and some sort of Orthosiphon pallidus, which is the wild mint. All the bushes here make it very, very thick. You can tell it's a nice, thick forest because there's a stream, a few springs source start here, and you go all the way down to the Mara River. I think those are the last few getting into the bushes. We haven't seen any action or heard any noises, so I don't think they've gotten anything. I'm hoping if they do get something, that it comes out, and if they get it out where we can share it with you. If they disappear, I'm gonna try and make my way up there or go around so we can be in a place where we can see them. That's not a normal lion cat, or a cat walk. They're very thin. They usually walk with pride. Hope they do get something. It's about time. After this, they get too weak and they start going for those small animals we feel sorry for. So I would prefer they go from here. Look at that beautiful forest up there. There's something there for sure. All the way back there, it looks like it's much lighter. That's the wild camphor, used for many, many things here. It's soft, nice, are nice. Before the invention of toilet paper here, it was the best to use going, for that activity. Also, the sticks are used for making arrows in the local villages, the Kalenjin and the Maasai. So it's a very useful tree. Also, it produces some cotton when it flowers. The sunbirds use the cotton, they mix it with silk, and they line their nests. So it's also very important, not only to us, but also to the birds. They all have disappeared now, and I would prefer to leave this area and try and find my way there so I don't lose track of them or lose track of what they go, what they're doing. I'm gonna try and get closer to that forest, see if. Yes, I'm gonna try and drive in there, see if there's a way I could go in. If not, then I'll go around. And while I do that, I'll link you back to Steve with the beautiful Hosanna in Juma.
Good luck, Isaac. The Olololos are always a very hungry pride, and one I've never seen go without a meal for too long. But anyway, here is the face we all know and love, and the little chief has got his head up. We've repositioned ourselves, and, well, Jean and I have been having a deep, long look at his back right bottom, and there's a little bit of a wet patch there. I'm thinking this is the same spot we were all talking about. There's a couple flies landing on it there. You can see it just left of the branch there. There's the flies, and it doesn't look anything major to me, folks. There's no blood. It looks like possibly a small puncture. I wonder if that's the same wound we're all talking about. It seems to be the case, but I don't think it's causing any harm to him. It's just going to maybe get a little bit infected, but with the saliva that he no doubt is lathering it with, it will heal up very, very nicely. It's basically formed one of the spots. And, well, he hasn't licked it once since we've been with him. And, well, if there's an irritation, animals will often lick it repeatedly to try and heal. Dash, you say it's on the left bottom. Okay, well, he's lying on the left bottom. He's just yawned. Let's see if he's going to get up for us. There he gets up. And let's see if we can have a little look. He's going to sneakily, stealthily move here because the monkeys are still around. They've forgotten about him for now. I have now position myself in a way that he's going to walk behind us. So we're going to have to reposition our car. Having a look at his back legs. Yeah, he's got that injury on the back right leg. Doesn't look too bad. I can't see anything on the back left. But we'll reposition in a moment, as I do apologize for the aerial that is about to come into shot. But for now, Hassan is playing a very nice game. Okay, I see the injury. It's inside of his left back hip. Oh, he's having a toilet stop. So it looked a little bit red. We'll go and have a look and see what it might be. Tristan, as I suggested before, seems to think it was a warthog. But, you know, to have one on the right and then one on the left possibly also could have been maybe someone chasing him in the form of a leopard. Maybe a claw on one side, a claw on the other. Because maybe those two different wounds have come from the same incident. And, well, if Hosanna did encounter Hukumuri after the last week or so, indeed, the Hukumuri would have tried to catch him, but Hosanna would have been quite clever and quite sneakily run off. But maybe he got caught very briefly, but he has survived to tell another tale. His belly looks quite full, folks, so he's definitely had a bit of a snack. And so I'm thinking that maybe these vultures in the area were indeed for whatever it is that he caught. Okay, well, we're going to reposition, see if we can get back around into the front of the little chief, because, well, he is just such a marvellous fellow, isn't he? But while we do that, let's go back over to my good friend Pat, who is doing a little bit of a birding.
Hello, so more birds for us here. We have some mer falcons up in this tree. We are currently looking at one of them, sitting very proud up at the top perch. Actually, all of his friends have left him to a tree in front of us, but it's a bit more densely leaved than this tree, a lot more. So we'll stick with this one that we can see quite well. Obviously a migrant here this time of the year, and we see them in quite large flocks, very large flocks actually, for birds around here. I've seen probably about 20 to 30 in one tree, just all in one tree, and there were more around, so they do travel in quite large groups. And it's also a bird you're not really going to hear that much. Sometimes you might hear a little bit of a call here or there, but not very often. They're a quiet bird, which sometimes is a nice thing. I think it depends on the song, doesn't it? If it's a nice song, you don't mind hearing it. But when it's one of those... I mean, it's even the woodland kingfisher, I suppose. That's a nice call, but you just hear it over and over and over and over. I suppose it becomes a bit monotonous after a while. Anyway, continuing on. One thing that's really been good to focus on now that it is summer and that it's harder to find animals is finding birds. Ranger. You didn't used to have red hair, did you? For anyone who doesn't know, Ranger is what Australians call red-headed people. But yes, I can imitate a kookaburra. Not bad. There's actually a couple of different types of calls. There's a few different species of kookaburra, so there are a few different calls, but they are that kind of laughing kookaburra sound. Thank you. 10 out of 10, finally. I've had some 9s, I've had a lot of 1s, finally a 10. Ex-Ranger is a Tassie boy. I haven't actually made my way down to Tasmania yet. I would really actually, before I started Dive Live, was a down there in marine biology because it's such a beautiful spot. So good on you, Ex-Ranger. Good on you. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you also of the amazing, amazing waves that they get down there as well. Well, the search has not stopped for the elephants, but in the meantime, Steve does have something to show you all in the form of a rosetted cat.
Well, I absolutely loved Tasmania. I spent a whole month there. A good friend of mine lives in a small town called Wynyard, and well, he took me all over the place, and we lived off the ocean for a whole month. It was probably one of the best months of my life. My good friend is still there. Ryan is down south, and he's always invited me to go. It's a wonderfully beautiful country, beautiful forest. I don't remember seeing a kookaburra there. I don't know if there was. I can't remember. I don't know if I was into my birds in those days. But Tasmania is the country or the time, the island that encouraged me to get back into conservation. And since then, I've been on this mission. So very interesting that the Tasmania came up. And well, here is the little chief. And the wound is just hidden by that little green branch over there. So maybe I'm just going to go back just a touch so we can see it. And then I'll move back to this position because of, we obviously want to see his beautiful face. But let's get a nice close-up of this wound. Jandra, I think you should be able to get it from that angle. Ex-Ranga, you didn't realise that kookaburras were not native to Tasmania. I don't remember hearing one there. I remember up in Australia, in Noosa, and up on the coast, on the east coast, they were extremely loud and very recognisable, and I don't remember them at all in Tasmania. But anyway, that wound does look quite fresh. Looks quite painful. The Owino Pride young male has got a wound, had a wound like this on the inside of his leg. And, I think, how that, possibly a warthog, but it's just that sort of position where, leopards and hyenas like to fight each other. It's like right there on the back, on the bottom, right there around the hips. And those are sort of the areas that when they are, because obviously they turn and run away, or they turn their back, they turn themselves if there's more than one individual. Quite often they can find themselves being attacked, and you'll often see hyena going for that sort of area right there around sort of the inside thigh, around the back leg, on the bum. Leopards and lions as well, when they fight each other, that's kind of the area they go for, especially when there's more than one of them. The animal's trying to defend itself by turning its face to face the aggressor, and if there's more than one, the other one will always come from the back. But also, if a Sana decided to turn tail and run, something might have just caught up with him. But it's very hard to know without being there. But I think he'll be okay. I mean, it might influence his long-distance walking. But we saw that with the Owino Pride young male. You remember we spent some time with them, Jandre? When I saw him again a month later, he had that injury, and it looked quite bad, but all it did was make him limp a bit, and he kept up with the family. And when I saw him before leaving the Mara, he was keeping up and doing very, very well without any problems at all. So it's incredible how these animals are able to heal, how easily they heal, how quickly they heal, in fact. He is posing. This is where he was earlier, folks, when we found him. He was posing very nicely until the monkeys started shouting at him. And then he slunk into that little messy clump of bushes that we saw before. I'm going to move forward again, Jandre, so we can get him without that little branch in the way. Oh, first the yawn. Oh, is he going to move? Yes, he is. That is what they do, folks. Have a listen. Some dwarf mongooses are not very happy with him. He's got a little bit of a limp. He's walking straight for the dwarf mongooses. They must be thinking, what's going on? He's coming right here. Into the termite mound they go. You can't see them anymore. You probably still hear their squeaking. So he's got a little bit of a gingerly step. But what you'll often find with a predator, if they do happen to get a little bit injured, you see that there's a little bit of a fence at the back there. Oh, he's probably got a kill up this tree now that we have not even been looking at. Yes, he does. There's an impala just above his head. There we go. And just see the foot. So, folks, the little chief is doing very, very well. He's right here next to Yuri's house. We're not far away. Likes hanging out quite close. That is very cool. You can just see the back leg there, can't you? On the right-hand side of the screen. So he is quite happy to be where he is. A very camouflaged little carcass that he's got there. He's trying to smell if anything else has visited. I wonder... Oh, look at the flies right where his face is, Andre. There is an enormous... Right above his head. Oh, it's all rotten. There we go. He's going to move it. Let's go somewhere else with my impala. There's not much of it left. There's two back legs. So you wonder how long he's been with the carcass here nearby. Very hard to say. Maybe he stole it from somebody. Maybe it's just a youngster. Can't really see from what he's showing us now. Maybe we reposition and get a little bit more underneath him there, Jandre. How's that sound? Okay, he's going to turn. So the tree that had the vultures in, there's a batalier that's joined. So almost certain when you find a batalier with vultures that there's definitely some form of meat around. Oh, that's actually, he was posing there for us. Let's just try and get a nice spot here. He's going to take that carcass and go a little bit further up the tree. Tell me when you're happy there, Jandre. Happy there? This is one of the quintessential scenes of the Sabi Sands, a leopard up in a marula tree. Uh-oh, what happened? He didn't like the smell of that. There are so many flies on that carcass at the moment, it is almost unbearable for him. He is just posing for you folks. He is the supermodel, the leopard extraordinaire. I mean, that is the photo that everybody wants right there. A leopard in a marula tree looking off into the distance with two legs hanging down close to his head. That is kind of what most people come to the Sabi Sands to see. A termite mound with a leopard draped across it, or a beautiful marula tree like this one with a leopard in it as well. If you pan out slightly, just look at all the flies flying around just underneath the main branch. They're all laying their eggs. I think they're flies or they're bees. Oh, wow. I think it's bees. I know, it's flies. Definitely flies. So they found his carcass. They are thoroughly enjoying it. They are laying their eggs, and the maggots are going to generate themselves, and they've got an enormous ability to break down rotting flesh. And he's a little bit annoyed by the flies, because the problem is as well, when you've got a wound like he does, the flies will cover that as well. He's going to try and move it now. Where shall I go with my pair of impala legs? Hello, MY. That's a very good question. Basically, leopards will feed on a carcass until it's finished. It can be days. It can be a week. We had Tingana not long ago, earlier this year, I think, around the Gauntlet series. He came back and fed on a carcass that was a couple months old, and it was quite gross, actually, to watch. Tristan was in the sighting. I remember watching it on screen. He was feeding on which was dried jerky or biltong. It was just petrified meat in the tree. So it really depends. I mean, leopards, being not only very efficient hunters, are also scavengers and will steal meat from someone else, and they'll be able to feed on that carcass for a number of days with the ability to sort of digest the decomposing and broken down sort of meat. So they can go for days. Cheetah and wild dog, they choose not to because they don't really scavenge food, so they always eat fresh food. But leopard, lion, hyena, well, they can feed on rotten and very gross, very, very gross meat. It can be quite off-putting to watch sometimes. But when it's small impala like this one, only a day or so, you could probably eat it in one sitting and it'll be gone. Before I went on leave, he had a steenbok, which only lasted him about 12 hours, and it was finished. You can actually see his wound quite nicely now, Jean-Ray, in the back. They've always moved it now. Okay, of course. Look at the flies. Oh, my word. He's decided he's going to come down. There we go. It's not the biggest of impalas. I don't think it's a baby, but I think it's one of the, probably the yearling impalas. See, he's got no problem climbing a tree, folks. So that is the most important thing about an injury, is if a leopard can't climb a tree, well, then there's a problem. He not only can climb the tree, he has managed to secure some food. Where he's going with it, though, we can only watch and see. How proud he is there walking with his impala legs. Isn't he a magnificent specimen? I think he's going to go to the tree he's been posing so nicely on, because I think it's a bit more comfortable. He thinks the flies won't follow him, but they will. You see, he's got no real problem in the walking there. I think that wound is just going to be uncomfortable. It's in that spot where the skin is moving when you have to walk. Like if you injure yourself behind the knee or in the groin area, it's not going to kill you, but it's just uncomfortable because for it to heal, it needs to sort of rest and not move. So he'll just spend some time around these pan area system where obviously, as we know, there are lots of game coming through, lots of youngsters. Kiss my foot and mouth, indeed. I'm going to quickly turn around, Jean-Ray, and see if we can catch up with him. He's probably going to go and hoist it in another tree. We'll just keep up with him now. He's probably decided he didn't like where he was. Driving him a little bit crazy. He's still just up ahead here. So he's walking a good 50, 60 meters already. So there's no issue with his ability to walk. His ability to climb, we saw before, was quite good. He's probably going to choose this other marula, which we've had him before with a carcass earlier this year when everything was still very dry. Let's see, where's he going to go? Boy, it looks like he's headed for the marula. Just reposition ourselves just on the right over here. He's going to walk straight towards us. Where are you going? He's not going for the tree anymore. What a funny fellow. You can see the wound on the back now. It seems to be okay. There's his belly. Sorry about the vehicle. So close he comes to us. Hello, boy. Where are you going? Flies, I can hear them. They're following him. Oof. That impala is not fresh, eh? It is not fresh. You can smell it. It is rank. It's possible that maybe it's one he killed, and then while he was away, he might have got injured, and then he decided to come back to it. You can see how he's walking. It's not his normal delicate sort of walk. This is the walk of a leopard dragging something, and it's not the heaviest of carcasses. But normally when you watch leopards walk, they've got a very sort of a perfect sort of gait. But when they're dragging something, their track changes as they drag whatever it is in front, using the strength of their shoulders to lift it up. But because they've got a square back, their feet sort of almost want to catch each other. Whereas hyenas have that sort of arched back. They're able to run at top speed with a carcass in their mouth like that without really changing too much of their gait or posture. Whereas a leopard really starts to take on this sort of swinging, swagger sort of gait. You could kind of see that in the way he's walking. I don't think that had anything to do with his injury. Going straight down. He's going to go into the drainage down below the dam wall. Fancy Wolf, you love the strap of meat he's carrying. Oh, the strut. Yes, the strut. That is the typical sort of strut you see in a leopard. Strut, yeah, carrying some food. And it's actually noticeable in their track as well. If you happen to come across leopard tracks like that, you'll find how they are moving, and you'll often find also the hoof or the horn. There's just another vehicle here that's joining us. Obviously everybody wants to see the little chief. He is famous, but if the carcass is quite big, there'll often be the mark or the line of the hooves or even the horns being dragged along the floor, because the leopards aren't really strong enough to lift it off the ground entirely as they carry it. There's a lot of drag, so they walk almost like a monitor lizard in a way, with a sort of wide stepping gait. There he goes. He's going to go straight down into one of his favorite little haunts down here below the dam wall, where we've had him and Tingana in a number of sightings together. Place he feels quite comfortable. And incredible how thick it's developed again as well since the rains are back. All the grass seed accumulated. So we were asking the question about how long they'll keep a carcass for. I mean, the smell on that was unbelievable, and well, he's still going to enjoy it for another day or so. Rotten, maggot-filled meat. Can you imagine, folks? Okay, very good. Let me go in there. Get down just below. Is he going to go up? No. Let's just give him a moment. He's gone into that thicket. Okay, so down we go. We're just going to go into this little section here. He's going into a very bushy little piece, but it seems like Isaac in the Mara has had some luck himself with some predators.
Here we're still with the Ololo pride, still very desperate. They seems to have no plan so far. They're just wandering around, hoping to come across something that they can go for. It has been a little bit of a four-wheel driving to get where we are. This is one of the oldest females, and she's far, away from the others. The others are about a kilometer behind us. I'm going to try and reverse so we can maybe continue having her on site. So allow me to reverse a little bit. Just hold tight, Bungay. Forwards a little bit. Looks like she's gone into the shade. I don't know if she's gonna go into the bushes now. There she is. She's lying down. You see a bouquet over there? Yeah. I think that was a smart move. Go into the shade, don't lose the last bit of energy you have that you might need when something comes by to use it. So she's gone into the shade. There she's gonna keep, cool. I must say this is a path. So it's a perfect place for her. I would say, she's one of the oldest, I would say most experienced, and she has been here before. And when desperate measures calls for desperate, moves, this is where she has to come. And I think it's a perfect spot. She seemed to have relaxed. That's a, relaxing behavior. I think zebras will come by here later on because there is water in this laga. A laga is a washed off area that has been dug by water running down over the years, forming a gully. We call it laga here in Kenya and also in Africa. In South Africa, they call it donga. Yeah, over here in Swahili, we call it shimo, mtaro. Mtaro is innocent Swahili. There's lots of different calls from different birds here. I've had the tambourine dove going doo 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 doo. Emerald spotted dove going doo 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 doo. The tambourine dove. I've had spotted flank barbet. All sorts of birds are here, and I'm gonna go quiet for a little bit so you can listen to them. Well, I can hear quite a good number of them. I did hear speckled horse bird. I had the oxpecker. I had a spotted flank barbet. It's really nice and beautiful here. This is an area that I've never been to, so it's a new to me. She's walking again. Mike, thank you that you're enjoying the sounds of the birds. Hey, Mike, to you. I'm glad that you're enjoying the sounds of the bird. Over here we have almost 520 different species of birds in the Mara. Sometimes we don't see them, but we hear them. So it's nice to share the bird calls with you. She's gone past the bushes over there, very thick area, and I can't get there. So now I'll have to change tactics, go back to where the rest of the pride over there, and hopefully maybe they're still there or they're doing something. And while I do that, I'll link you back to Steve with Osana. I don't know what he's doing. He's been very interesting this morning.
Well, Isaac, I hope the Olololas do catch some food this morning. Hosanna, with his rather full belly, has cached his impala legs up an impenetrable little tree there. He's walking past one of the other vehicles. He's going to sit right in between us and show us how beautiful he is. There you can actually see the wound on his leg nicely now. It's actually on the leg itself. Ooh, that looks painful. I thought before it was inside the hip, which would actually be take a lot longer to heal. I think that will heal much quicker than if it was inside of his hip, where the skin is moving. There, that's where we saw it with the Owino Pride young male. He had one inside the hip there. That's on the outside. Very hard for me to tell you where that's come from, but it looks like a gash. It doesn't look like it's too much of a sort of a gouging of any sort. Could it be a claw? Could it be a tusk, as Tristan has maybe suggested? Difficult to say, but it looks quite clean though. But he would be keeping it clean by licking. It doesn't seem to be giving him any discomfort. It does look ouch, everybody. That does look ouch. There you can see how it moves to his inside hip as he starts moving. So it is in an awkward position as far as the skin is concerned. And, well, sorry folks, he's about to go behind the vehicle, so you might get a glimmer of our aerial. He's definitely not on a slow-paced move today since we started. He started off quite slow, but since then he's been moving, which goes to show you, I don't think he's in too much pain. There he goes. Beautiful, beautiful Osana. Well, we're going to turn around and see if we can move down into this drainage line. Try to keep up with him. The Franklins are starting to shout at him, as they do. I've yet to see him catch a Franklin. I always have them shouting at him, but I've never seen him even attempt one. I think in his early days, he was quite a Franklin murderer. Oopsie, sorry. Hello, Tim. I don't think a tick would try and get into that wound. I mean, ticks don't need to get into wounds necessarily. They can feed right on the skin, so there's no benefit for them to go into the wound. Oxpecker, if it was on another animal, he's licking it now. Busy licking his wound now. An oxpecker would definitely go into that on a normal animal, but on a leopard, well, they'll get eaten. So there he's having a bit of a lick, cleaning it. Amazing, the antibiotic properties or antiseptic properties in leopard and lion sort of saliva. For their own body, of course. If you got bitten by a cat like that, it would fester and really would turn out to be quite bad. But for themselves, there seems to be an amazing healing agent. They do get lots of scratches, lots of cuts, lots of injuries in their life. And, well, they've got the perfect balm for it. Okay, well, he's having another toilet break. That's a water thickney that's shouting at him there. I thought it was a Franklin before. Just off to the right there, Jean-Drek. Can you see? Just off to the right of the pan. He's about to come to the pan. There's the thickney. There he is. He's shouting. Shouting his defiance, the water thickney. They are very vigilant parents. Even Kirsty was saying she had a spotted thickney in Joburg the other day that was chasing her away from probably some chicks or some eggs. They'll stand there with their wings spread out and they will basically just try and make themselves look very big. I've seen them do it to monitor lizards, where they keep the monitor lizard away from their chicks. And these two are being very brave and going, Hosanna, how dare you come near us? He's getting closer. Look at this. We're not so brave now, are they? That's very cool. So Kirsty was confirming that she saw the thickney protecting its tiny little baby. Oh, there we go. He's having a bit of a drink. There's plenty of water around, plenty of food. So all of those of you who are concerned about his injury, I'm sure he will be fine. It's all about the healing process. He doesn't have to walk far to eat or to drink, so he'll be able to heal up nicely. And just another little battle scar for him. The first injury I've seen him with, no doubt not the last. It is a tough life being a male leopard, especially when you're trying to scratch out your own territory. And birds have come into chorus. You hear that orange-breasted bushshrike. The hornbills. Hello, Sarah. I've never seen a thickney dive bomb. It's something that plovers do. Plovers will dive bomb. I've even seen videos of them dive bombing and moving elephants off of their chosen path. But what a thickney does is they'll actually walk up to the predator with their wings outstretched. So making themselves look as big as possible. The wings will go out left and right, and they'll walk towards the predator, sometimes even two of them, and sort of block their path and shout at them and shout at them. I've never seen them do it to leopard. I've seen them do it to monitor lizard, and Kirsty had them do it to her the other day, our director in Johannesburg, and just trying to veer you off left or right from the chick or potentially from the eggs. And I've seen it work with monitor lizards. The monitor lizard eventually just goes, this is not worth it, and off they go. So there's that display, and that's quite a brave one. There's also the dive bombing, which you see a lot in lapwings and certain other birds. And then there's also the broken wing strategy, or the distraction display, whereby an adult will pretend like it's got a broken wing and will dance off to the left, almost struggling in its approach. And, well, a predator can't help that. A jackal, for example, will go loping after the animal, and as soon as the animal feels the jackal's far away enough from the eggs or the chicks, it will miraculously figure out that its wing is not broken and fly off, leaving the jackal very dazed and confused. So lots of amazing strategies that these birds go through to protect their youngsters. But when it comes down to it, in the final end, they will often allow their chicks to be taken to survive themselves. They'll do everything they can, but when it comes down to the final element, unfortunately, the adults are better to survive and to breed another day. We're going to get into another position with Hosanna, and in the meantime, back up to the Mara with Isaac, who's having a great time with the Olololo Pride.
Here are the rest of Olololo Pride. They are looking still very desperate. You see, there are no happy faces here. It's no laughing matter for them. You might ask yourself, why they haven't eaten. This is where, the question comes, do you want to be a lion or do you want to be another animal? Lions live a very difficult life. It's only that we think they just go out, grab what they want, and life goes on. It's totally very different. It's very difficult for them. There is nothing here, as you can see, for them. Those looks like common bulbuls. Yeah, it's a pair of common bulbuls. They used to be called the yellow-vented bulbuls, and I think somebody was very wise to change that name to common bulbul. They are common, widespread all over Africa. They're fruit eaters, and it's very plentiful here in the Mara. Sunning themselves after cool morning. The sun is drying their wings so they can fly much, much easier. Yes, back to the Olololo Pride. The rest of the females are deep into that bush to the left. They're about 100 meters away. Very scattered. There were 16 in total. Here we have 4. So all of them are in that bush to my left. And I would say it's not a good place for you to be walking. Proud Cat Mama, where do you think the largest number of cats are found in Africa? I won't argue that it is the Serengeti. The Serengeti in Tanzania, I think, has got the most lions, cheetahs, leopards. To the second one, I would say it's the Mara. I was in Botswana a few years back. I did see a good number. I've never been to South African parks in Southern Africa, so I don't have any comparison. But I've spent a lot of my time in Serengeti, the Selous Game Reserve in southern Serengeti, in Tanzania, and in Mara. But I'd still say the Serengeti has got the largest number of cats. Look at that intense look. That is a young male. He does have a very scruffy mane, but looking at the size of his head compared to the female to the left, the same age, but much, much larger, about two years. So he's still got another maybe 12 months till when he's, the main male and the female start saying, you're too big to be on your own. This is not typical behavior for this time of day if a lion has eaten. So these guys definitely are in search. This is not an area you want to be in walking on foot. Or if you're a warthog come trotting by, you won't last very long. I don't know if you can hear the ring-necked dove, the spotted flounder barbet. We are in a very pristine area, untouched by very many people. Actually, myself, have been here for long, but it's the first time I'm here. Very beautiful forest. Once we're done with this lions, Bungay will sweep, scan around and show you this very beautiful forest in front of us, full of diasparus trees, Crotonda chogamas, Teclia simplicifolia, and Orthoscyphon pallidus, some shrubs. There's some nice big trees to my right. Huge area. See that? It's a very beautiful area. Very green, just after the December rains. Any bird will want to be here. I can hear sunbird. I don't know which one. Sorry, Kirsty, can you repeat the question? While I enjoy my trees here on the quiet, serene spot together with the Lulu Pride, I'll link you back to Juma.
Well, we've had a little bit of a mystery happen around here. So we were just down near Galago Pan, and Craig noticed a bit of hair, a tuft of hair sitting in the middle of the road. So we got out and checked, and there was no tracks around, but a little bit further up there was definitely leopard tracks. And then we moved a little bit further down, and there was a lot of shouting, a lot of squirrels shouting, and some francolins shouting as well. But there were also a couple of raptors sitting in trees, so we're not sure whether it was that, but I just had the feeling that something has happened around there. Now, the other explanation could be that it was actually just Hosanna, because Hosanna is just over here where Steve is with him now. He's probably about 200 to 300 meters, so it's about 800 feet away. So it could have just been Hosanna as well. So I'm not sure what they were yelling at, but we're still going to keep searching at the area just in case. It does definitely seem like something has happened. Sorry, I'm just going to switch off for a second to listen. Nothing up this way. Yes, my first crime scene investigation. I will actually go back down that way and we can take a look at what has actually happened, to give everyone a bit of a clearer idea of just what I was picking up on. So it looked like the fur looked like it was from an Inyala, and there was a few Inyala in the area. I'm not 100% sure whether it was an Inyala or not, but it does look like that. Now, I'm also not sure what Hosanna has hoisted up in the tree, what species it was. But if it was an Inyala, that might be a good indication that it was in fact Hosanna. It definitely looks like a male leopard from the tracks. So either Hosanna or Tingana, potentially. Just the amount of alarm calling I was hearing, it just sounded like a bit too much for just a couple of raptors. But then again, the animals do sometimes tend to be on high alert here, especially if something has recently happened in the area, just like what we have now. There's no doubt in my mind that something did happen in this area. It's just a matter of what now, piecing it together, hopefully finding an animal. So here it is. Is that right, Craig?
Yeah,
could be, okay. So everyone's saying it's an impala that Hosanna had. So potentially, there's their tuft of hair right there. So we can see that there. It just looks a little bit too long to me to be an impala. And there was no flesh on the underside of it either. And so, as we can see, there's no tracks around that area. But if I move up a little bit, it does almost look like a tail, but there's actually, so I got out earlier and actually had a look at it, and there's no solid pieces inside of it. It's just a tuft of hair. So just keep an eye on where I am right now, just to get an idea of how far up these other tracks were. Yeah. So this is where the tracks are. Oop. Can we... So you can see that's clearly leopard there, those three lobes at the back there, giving that away. and they're facing the opposite direction of what the calling was coming from. So I'm just going to head back down and see if they've stopped or not. See if they're still going. And this is alarm calling I'm speaking of, which is something that both birds and mammals will do when they see a predator or something that they believe to be dangerous. They'll just stand there and shout at it. And it's often distinctive from their usual calls. Excuse me, sorry. So I'm just going to switch off and have a quick listen. Sorry, Gary, what was that? I didn't quite catch that one. Maybe it was Senzo. Maybe. Also, the squirrels are still making the sound over this way. Well, I'm still going to persist at this and follow up on those calls. But let's send you back over to Steve, who has the potential culprit for this.
Well, he has gotten up and moved. I wonder if Pat is going to be lucky. Who could it be that he is discovering that side? Hassan has decided to up and move. So we're just going to go back through the way we went. I'm not sure where he went to. He's just gone straight through there. We go back the way we went. Sorry, Johan, we sneak behind you again. Cheers, you have a good time. Travel back safely. Okay, let's just get around here. We don't want him to sneak and lose us now. Give us the Tundi slip. Osana doesn't really do that too often. He's got the meat, which is not far away. I think he might just be moving in to some shelter, even though it is still quite nice and warm. What's that, Chandra? Have you got him? Well, thanks very much. Chandra spotted him, was giving me the weirdest facial expression that I had to try to figure out what that meant. No, I can't see him. Okay, but I don't think we're going to get him from this angle, huh? Gone flat. Okay, well, he's becoming a flat cat just in the very nice sort of shade of this Tambuti Grove. We were doing a spot of birding while we were waiting for him to come out. Somewhere in here. Incredible. You can even know where he is, and the camouflage of a leopard will make him impossible to see. I can't even see him, and the grass is very, very long. Andre is still pointing at an object that I can't see. So I'm going to move slightly forward, Andre. You tell me when you can see him. Oh, you can't see him anymore. Very good. Andre might be pulling my leg. So he's in here, folks, somewhere. Somewhere in there. But it just goes to show that, I mean, without even much cover, a leopard can go from being very visible to being completely invisible, which is exactly what they do. There we go. You can see him breathing in there. Isn't that incredible? So we always talk about the spots and the coloration of a leopard, and well, when you see them out in the open, they are generally quite obvious, but amazing how well camouflaged they can be this time of year when it's very green, but incredibly so when there's no leaves or grass around, how that disruptive camouflage, that they call it, helps them to blend in when there's almost no cover. So I find it incredible how well it works. The objective is to break up the 3D sort of outline, the characteristic shape of the cat, and the spots change the depth, change the angle. Whenever you've got a leopard in thickets like this and you try to take some photographs, it's so hard to focus on them. The camera has no idea what you're trying to take a picture of. And so I couldn't explain it very well, but I'm sure Jandre would be able to explain it for me. But the depth that the focus goes into is always very off. And trying to take a photo of a leopard in the thickets, well, it's almost as useful as looking at them in the thickets. Very, very hard to see. But there, just off to the left of the screen, you can see a couple of the spots. There we go. He moved. If it wasn't for movement, it would be very hard to discern him here. But he's being a little bit annoyed by the flies that have still followed him from his meal. He's had a few licks at his wound. And poor guy, I think he's going to be just fine though, folks. We're very close to water, as I said. There's a number of prey animals around. And well, as you know, Hosana is a very efficient hunter. And who Pat is following up on is hard to say. Maybe Tingana is in the area. Maybe he's made a kill on that side. Maybe this guy stole it from his dad. Wouldn't that be a first? Anyway, I'm going to go back around to where we were. Maybe we'll get another view of him. Because the view we've got right now is very, very hard to see. Jason, he's not wasting his time. I mean, the leg has still got some nutrients on it. I know it might smell and look a little bit funny, but leopards, that's what they do. They feed on rotten and decaying food, and he's opportunistic. So he'll eat what he's got, and if something comes along, he'll catch that too. So I've found a leopard once with 3 kills in a tree. I saw him kill the zebra. And then I came back that evening and he had 2 baby warthogs all draped over the same branch as the zebra. So nothing is wasted. Leopards will eat everything they can and keep as much food as they can and opportunistically hunt whenever they can and steal when they can. It's just what they do. All animals, all predators out there we go. All predators out here will do it, except for cheetah and wild dog, because well, they're not really well adapted to stealing food from larger predators. Leopards with the ability to cache their food means that they don't have to gorge the entire animal in one sitting. It means they can take days to feed on what they need to feed on. Lions are well known for scavenging and stealing food from other predators, so their gut digestive system is able to eat very rotten food. And while hyena we know quite well as well to not only be good hunters but to scavenge and to feed off very, very old and decayed bone and carcasses. And Tingana earlier last year, should I say, was feeding on biltong, beef jerky, somewhere up in the tree not far from where we are. That was really something to see. There is the wound. I think he's just enjoying the coolness of the soil underneath the tree there. Enjoying a little bit of respite from the hot temperatures we've been experiencing in the last few days. Okay, we're going to stay here with the sun and see what he gets up to. But while we do that, let's go back over to Sherlock Fitzgerald for another clue.
Well, no, I'm not even going to try and do a Sherlock Holmes accent. So what we are looking at right now is a vervet monkey sitting on the top of the tree, and it has helped with our investigation because it is completely silent. So if there was something happening, I think it would be going pretty crazy right now. And it is just sitting there, very chilled out up in that tree. Looks like it's got a nice little perch, actually. Love seeing monkeys, as cheeky as they can be. I have had my shortbread stolen by them on a couple of occasions. But I think it's just the fact that they're so human-like that I love them so very much. Oh, something just got mad. I think it was probably shouting at the monkey. So that squirrel call that we heard earlier, we did follow up on that, and it turns out it was probably just calling at the raptor and not at anything else. So where's this cheeky little monkey gone? Have you still got it? Oh, yeah, we can see. Meena Moo. Well, monkeys hide away from predators by doing exactly what it's doing right now and sitting up high in a tree. So they know that they're good climbers, And they're also very good at keeping an eye on whatever seems to be hassling them. So they can really keep a target, well, not a target, but an aggressor's whereabouts while they are moving. And so they'll move up into higher places to get away from predators. They're also quite quick on their feet as well, well, on their hands and feet. They don't walk quite bipedal like us humans do. They still use their hands in locomotion, but they're quite quick as well. And the small size makes them pretty hard prey, actually. I definitely know that I couldn't catch one, even if I tried. So let's move on. I don't think that there was anything in that block where we were looking before, but I think something did definitely happen recently. And then because we were moving through, I think the Franklins may have been calling at us, and the squirrels seemed to be shouting at a Wahlberg's eagle up in a tree. Well, I shall continue this bumble and see if I can pick up on anything cool in the last few minutes of this drive. In the meantime, let's go back up to the Mara and see what Isaac is driving for.
Here we are once again, big herd of elephants, about 2 km down the road from the main gate and about a kilometer from where we left the Olololo Pride. These are happier bunch, big herd of elephants, about 12 of them. We've been seeing lots and lots of this African giant all over the Mara, and this is due to the quietness that has been provided by the wildebeest turning back into the Serengeti. We don't hate the wildebeest, but I think everybody needs to be happy, and actually nature is amazing because it does that in a way that nobody else can. So the wildebeest have left, and we can see our beautiful elephants here grazing. Beautiful view of all the Mara. Happy family. You can tell they've been wallowing, lots of mud on their backs. Might look like it's dirty. X, thank you for your question. You asked me if I have my favorite elephant sighting. Yes, I do have, although there are too many to mention, but I think there's this majestic big bull I saw somewhere in Amboseli, south of Kenya, just below on the foothills of Kilimanjaro. And those tusks were almost touching the ground. I think that was the best, one of my best sightings. It is not the best, I have too many best ones, but that one still lingers in my mind. Gentle giants, you can tell, very full. They've been eating well. There's plenty of grass, plenty of water, no stress. Look at that. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Look at that. Yeah, just the trees at the background, the forest, along the Mara River, the plains on Paradise Plains on the other side, and the other ridge is we call it a survey area. That is in front is Paradise Plains, Mara River, and this guys looks like they're heading towards water. This is a scene that you are seeing live as right now from the Mara. It looks like they're on a mission. At this time of day, they're spread out. Looks like the female has told them, let's go somewhere. The one on the left is going to do some activity. This is where they can multitask, eat at the same time and lose a little bit of weight. Yeah. There is a herd that we've been seeing with a few young ones who have lost their tails, and they've been hanging around this area. I haven't seen them today, but maybe I'll see them on this afternoon's drive. Remember to join us on live stream YouTube and hashtag on Twitter, SafariLive. This is live and happening right now. Please join in on the conversations. Ask us some questions. Let's be yeah, over here, remember to continue asking us questions to make this live documentary much more interesting. And as I continue enjoying my elephants here, I'll link you back to Steve with Hosanna, who's actually being a character this morning.
Well, Isaac, I haven't met you yet, but it sounds like you're having a great time up in the Mara. It is a wonderful place, a place I thoroughly enjoy. The only thing I miss up there is the leopards, and here we are taking a very close look at the wound of Hosanna. And it is definitely a nice slice there. You can see it's cleanly cut and split. It does look a little bit painful. It looks very painful, in fact. A shame. The flies, no doubt, are going to be moving in, enjoying the moisture. But I think I was talking about oxpeckers before. Oxpeckers would land on other individuals and keep the wounds open. But on a leopard, well, they'll just get eaten. And a tick, they're attached to the skin itself. They have the mouth parts to puncture and to suck blood, so no need to go in. But the flies are the problem when it comes to open wounds. Flies will move in, and if it's not kept clean, maggots will perpetuate. And, well, if it's a wound that the animal can't get to, it could become a problem from infection. Hello, Michael. Wow, that's a great question about how much you think is. And I mean, it's very deceptive to know how heavy these leopards are. And I mean, I reckon he must be close to 70 kilograms now. Yes, the leopards in the past that he had even lost a lot of weight, and we'd. £100.
We do apologise for those technical difficulties. So we have actually just come past where Hosanna is, right near Steve with these tracks. And I think that must have been Hosanna's kill that we were looking at earlier. It's the only thing I can think of right now, unless Tingana has come in and we just haven't managed to find him. So we now are on quarantine, and it's quite empty right now. It's like going down the street with all the nightclubs on it at night time and then seeing it the next day, and it's completely different because at night time here on quarantine we get quite a few impala, though not quite a few, hundreds of impala come here during the night time. Safety in numbers, and here is a few over here on our left. I'll just, whoa, looks like they're having a bit of a play here, all running about. Very cool. And they've all scattered. We've got a male chasing a female. I'll stay quiet so we can hear the shouting. Can we hear that? That was a very typical impala shout when it is chasing a female. And we've got a few bouncing here. What a good way to close the show. Thank you all so much for joining us today. It was a very nice drive. We do apologise for the late start, but all's well that ends well. We'll see you this afternoon for another Sunset Safari.